Hi, I'm Michael T. Williams here, longtime fly fisher, fly tyer. I've been tying flies since 1955, and I'm here at the Fly Fishing Federation Conclave, West Yellowstone, Montana, September 27, 2013. And this fly you see in the vise there is a pattern I call my Percolator. It was born from a Stimulator. I had a lot of moose hair laying around, not much elk hair at the time. Didn't feel like dubbing underneath the collar hackle for the standard Stimulator pattern. I started tying this thing, and it has proved to be a pretty amazing fly. This is the standard dressing here with moose tail, moose wing, Peacock Herl body, brown Palmer hackle, reinforced with wire as you'll see, and then grizzly collar hackle wound into wet cement. So far it's caught 5 species of trout, smallmouth and largemouth bass, coho and chinook salmon, summer and winter steelhead, and carp on the surface. It's been a pretty effective fly. It fishes on top very nicely, and it's incredibly effective subsurface as well. I'm a licensed guide in Oregon. I give programs to fly fishing clubs, photojournalist, fine art photographer, and so we're going to tie this Percolator here. I like this type of hook for the fly. My favorite probably is a TMC 200R. This happens to be a Daiwiki 270. This is a size 6. And I tie this fly size 4 through size 12. And for size 6 through 6 and 8, I use uni 6/0 thread. And for size 10 and 12, I usually use Uni's 8/0. I like to build up a little hump on near the bend of the hook here to help hold that tail in. My style of tying flies, I like to call it bulletproof, and I think you'll see that from the techniques employed in tying this fly, that indeed it'll qualify as a bulletproof fly. I like to stack the hair using one of these old style stackers, and rather than tap it on the table, I like to put it on the heel of my hand, a lot less noise. So I'm going to clip this moose hair about 2/3 shank length, lay it in at about a 45-degree angle on the near side of the hook with the material touching the hook, and then guide it to where I want it with my offhand. And my style of tying, as I said, is bulletproof. And I also, everybody's got their biases and opinions, but I never try to tell somebody they need to do it any particular way at all. So now we got this hair on there. So in order to make this easier, in my opinion, to control, I do looser tension gathering wraps. And if it has a tendency to roll around the shank of the hook on you, you can pull back towards gently, and it will tend to gather. Now we can go back over that with tight wraps, spiraling tight wraps. I teach a class, have been for a number of years at these events, called Fly Tying Tips and Tricks, 50 years under the influence of a vice. Next year I get to call it 60 years under the influence of a vice. So here's some copper wire. I'm going to tie this in nice and snug. And then some Peacock Herl here. Well, I think we may get away with 3 strands. I don't know, it could be cutting it pretty close here. First couple of wraps on the Peacock Herl, I like to use kind of modest tension and then tighter with the thread. Then we'll spiral the thread up to about 1/3 of the shank length behind the eye. And then wind this Peacock Herl right up to that waiting thread. Now this technique I'm going to demonstrate here, I call it my power tie-off. With the material in dominant hand under tension on the near side of the hook, bobbin in the offhand under tension, make a crossing wrap. We can let go of this material as long as we maintain tension, and I like to do that by grasping the nose of the bobbin and the thread, take up any slack, and now the bobbin is in dominant hand and we can make any tension type wraps we want. I think you find as if you start to use that, you'll probably really enjoy it. So here's a saddle hackle, and for this fly I usually like to use a body hackle or a palmer hackle that's about one size smaller than typical. Really easy way to put these in my opinion. Near side of the hook, 45-degree angle with the material touching the near side of the hook, and that wrap pins it right to the side. And this grip I like to use, I call it a slip grip. So we catch it with the wire, and then with the wire under tension and wavering a little bit, we can bring that wire right through this hackle and the Peacock Herl. Here's the power tie-off again. I like to, it's possible to bend this wire off, that's true. However, I personally like to leave a little tag on purpose and further bind that down. That body is not going to be going anywhere. The hackle's not going to be going anywhere. Unless the fish's tooth cuts the wire, which I've never yet seen, that body will stay together. So I'm running this moose hair through a narrow teeth, fine teeth on a flea comb that I have clamped to my tying table here. Takes all the under fur out of it pretty nicely. I like to have the wing relatively sparse, at least sparser than would be for a stimulator. Of course, you know, the elk wings on a stimulator all flared out like that are meant to mimic fluttering adult wings. So I use the old style pinch method to put a wing in like this. I just grab a hold of the material, the moose hair in this case, and grasp the shank of the hook as well. And notice I haven't moved my offhand at all. I'm holding it right there until I'm finished with the wing. Take a little bit of that twist out by spinning the bobbin. And now to continue with the bulletproof style of tying this fly, we'll just kind of build up the front part of the head here, if you will, to wind that collar hackle over. To continue in the bulletproof style, I'm going to wind this collar hackle into wet cement. So here's our power tie-off again. I like to put at least 3 wraps on that hackle prior to releasing it. In my opinion, 3 wraps are twice as strong as 2. I see we got a little hackle sticking out over the eye, not a big deal. Certainly as far as fish catching is concerned. I like to finish my flies with half hitches, a single. that's snug down nicely, followed by a double half hitch, snug down, and then clipped. And then I'll cement the head on this fly. And of course, tie in quite a few at one time. You can wait to cement the heads all at once, a little faster that way. Quite a bit faster, actually. So there's the finished standard percolator, size 6. Thank you.